Hey, it's New Thought Talk. Welcome. My name is Steve Walling. I am the senior minister at the Spiritual Awareness Center located here in the beautiful Central Valley of California in the little town of Madera. And I have a guest today that I'm excited to have. His name is Michael J. Allen, and Michael is just an incredible being. And I'm not going to go any further than that. I'm just going to bring him on, and we're going to talk, and you're going to meet him. Welcome to the show, Michael.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah. So I was talking with Michael before the show, and he's been around here a while, and I've been around here a while, but we've always just kind of been like ships in the night. We've just kind of here and there, but we've never actually had a chance to get together. And this last week, I had a chance to join Michael in a group that he has called The Gathering, and it's a powerful spiritual experience. And seeing as how I was there, I figured I'd just see if I could squeeze his arm a little bit, twist it, and see if he'd join me today. And lo and behold, here he is. And Michael, it really is. It's an honor to have you here on the show. And I want to talk about your journey to begin with. We'll work our way. Eventually, we'll get to the gathering and what you're doing. But how did Michael come to this place in his life?
I could pick different experiences in my life that are significant to what draw me to the expansion of this moment in my life. Mm-hmm. And I just like to go back to when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Compton, South Central LA, and we went to Baptist churches, and the foundation of how my family was so interested in Jesus and church, and that was a real foundation of our early upbringing. But I got to be honest, at 8 years old, I didn't see people living their life like Jesus. I saw them talking about Jesus and claiming what Jesus is or isn't, but I didn't see that equivalent match in behavior. Church was only on Sunday. That frustrated me. That meant that people were nice and kind and very good to you on Sunday, but they could be very, very different to you any other day of the week.
Sunday afternoon to Saturday night.
Exactly. And as a little boy, that really hurt my heart. Let me be honest. It had an effect on me. And I remember one day, because I come from the challenging environment, emotional changes in my family. I remember one day I literally said to myself that I was just gonna, if I had any problems in my life, I was just gonna ask Jesus. If Jesus were me, what would Jesus do? If he is the Messiah, if he is the Christ, if he is a great presence and a great example for human beings, why not ask the greatest human being that people talk about but don't necessarily live like or act like? So I got to go back to that point because that became my first teacher of who I'm becoming.
Right. Okay, Michael, so you got that first insight at 8 years old. But living in Compton, and I don't know how old you are, but I think you're probably pretty close to my age. You grew up in some times down there where there was a whole lot of stuff going on. And I grew up in L.A. also, so I'm not unfamiliar with it. So how did you manage to hang on to that as you went through your transition into teenagehood and all the stuff there, and then from there to being a young adult? How'd that flow? How'd that work for you?
Well, I guess I got to jump a little forward to being about 13 years old. And I had a friend of mine, Sylvia Lloyd, who caught me one day when I was having an emotionally hard day and invited me to come to her church. And I hadn't really been in church because our families were sort of distraught and broken. So I went to church with Sylvia and met this man, Reverend Edgar Jackson. And he was this big, beautiful man who just continued to smile, and he was gracious. He was always gracious, and he baptized me, and I got really involved in the AME Methodist Church and became a youth leader and sang in the choir and traveled with some great friends that I'm still friends with today.
Yeah.
But that was respite. That was the place to go when the parks were closing and the gangs were growing and the drama was big at home. Going the first day of meet 3-4 times a week was a great escape for me.
Right.
In addition to just staying low in the neighborhood, you know. So Reverend Jackson became my first spiritual mentor, and did everything outside of church you could possibly do with young people. He introduced us to great places to eat, great places to go. He took us and introduced us to people around the city and the county like we were celebrities. He always found ways to give us new experiences. He was consistent. He was a man who talked about Jesus and lived like Jesus. Still does. Reverend J is
still around.
Still growing strong, man.
Oh,
he's a powerful presence in my life and in the life of some of the young people I grew up with. But I'd have to say he's my rock.
Yeah. All right. So you spent that time 13. Now, how did that take you through high school? Did you on your spiritual journey? How did it evolve from there?
Well, I spent a lot of time in church in high school. When I hit 18, 19 years old, I was asking broader questions.
Yeah.
Because there were still those people who were church on Sunday, but very different the rest of the week.
Right.
So I began to get a little distraught with church. And now I'm 18 years old, and I'm challenged with where do I go to college. I got accepted to several colleges, but I didn't know how to I didn't know how to go into new environments, new cultures, and I was faced with that. So I went to the local junior college and eventually got to college and fumbled through my early 20s. And when I hit 25, I really got serious about a spiritual journey. And there was sort of an awakening. I got rid of the negative things I was doing in my life, and I was really focused on the completion of my education. And it's like I matured right around 24, 25 years old, and I got really focused and began to go on a spiritual journey. I got involved with LifeSpring, which was a human growth workshop that really did a lot of work with connecting me with people who had physical connection, physical touch, physical minds and hearts in agreement about how they wanted to contribute in the world. But it was a limited money-making environment, so to speak,
I get that.
But the spiritual journey continued. I began to become a meditator.
Okay.
I was a private meditator in my early 20s because I didn't think black people meditated.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I didn't think that people meditated together. Didn't have that growing up. But meditation became something that just emerged in me. So I had a lot of quiet times with God and sort of taught myself how to meditate. Until I found, in 1994, I found the Science Mind Church, and people meditated.
Okay. Coming from what I'll call a traditional Christian environment, and you come into a Science of Mind Church, obviously the fact that they meditated opened some doors to acceptance right away, but how was that transition for you? Did you find that it was like you felt like you had finally come home, or is this a new experience? How did it affect Michael at that time? Were you comfortable with that?
Well, I was beyond comfortable with it. It resonated with me on so many levels. In 1988, I studied holistic therapy.
Okay.
Became a massage therapist. I studied polarity therapy for 6 years with 8 people, a lot of hours in studying the body and energy and psychosomatic work. And I became a very effective massage therapist. Still am, in a lot of ways. And I really, really, really immersed myself in more meditation and energy work, really understanding energy. So when I got to the Science Mind Church, through the people that I was in my holistic circle with, they kept inviting me to go to this church, and I kept avoiding it because I was done with church. I thought church was limiting to me in a lot of ways, and resisted it, but they kept calling me Reverend Michael. And one day woke up and realized they weren't calling me Reverend Michael. They were referring to
Reverend
a
Michael.
man named Reverend Michael.
Right.
So I finally went over to the Agape Church of International Truth
Right.
in the early years of the 1994 area.
Now, that was before Michael had taken it independent. He was
Oh
still
yeah,
independent.
it was before he took it independently.
Right. But what an experience. And so you were there really in their major growth formative years, weren't you?
Yeah, I think he was about 10 or 11 years old at that time.
Yeah.
And when I first started going to Agape, I was absolutely blown away by the message.
Mm-hmm.
Was all these things I had read. I had read Ernest Holmes before I got to Science of Mind. Didn't even know Ernest Holmes was Science of Mind. I just read Ernest Holmes.
Yeah.
I got Science of Mind magazine. I didn't even make the connections. There were just certain articles about it and certain things I read, and I didn't see it as some religion. I saw it as information that was really, really feeding a part of me that was longing for more understanding. Not necessarily the right answer, but more understanding about God. And when I got to Agape, I finally met Reverend Michael after a month. He had been traveling. And Reverend Michael at that time, we looked alike. You know, small cropped hair, beard, you know, we looked alike. And his name was Reverend Michael. And people referred to me as just a guy who really understood that conversation.
Right.
So when I finally met him, I started going to church and meditating with a bunch of people, and I gotta admit, the moment I sat down and meditated with all those people, my life changed, because there was this collective energy of meditation.
That's a powerful experience.
It's a powerful experience. You know, the energy of everyone in agreement to be peacefully and still for God just is so graceful and comforting to me.
Yeah.
You know, so I felt beyond right at home. I felt like I had been landed right into just graceful place that my heart had been so hungry for.
That's a great space.
Yeah.
We're going to pick up. We're going to take our first break.
Okay.
We're going to go to our break. We're going to come back, and we're going to pick up meditation. You've heard me talk about it on the show before, but I think we're going to have a really good conversation. We're going to move forward with this. So we'll see you when we come back.
Rethink your drink with independent Javita member Christine Levin. Call 559-301-5177 and get healthy and wealthy. Email Michelle Bradford at londonproperties.com or call 559-907-9738 to get your dream home today.
Need raisins? Call National Raisin Company at 559-834-5981 or online at nationalraisin.com.
I think people think of raw food or healthy food as not having much flavor, and this is so flavorful.
So very nutrient dense, and it feeds my body.
I love raw Fresno because I've learned so much about nutrition.
It's organic, and it's delicious. It's nutrient dense and very tasty.
Fruit that's alive, probiotics, it's healthy vegetables to get that protein, and it's a game changer. It's awesome.
Come to Raw Fresno just because I love the food, and there's not too many options or any options like this anywhere.
I come back because the food is delicious.
It's definitely a new experience, you know, the different tastes, the salad, it's absolutely delicious.
I love the food because, as I found, this food actually has a lot of flavor. It's all so good, it's hard for me to decide what to eat, so then I'll just take samples of everything.
My husband and I both are addicted to it, and it's like we go through kale withdrawals because it makes us feel better.
It's so healthy, and because it tastes so good. I love the wraps, I love the chocolate cheesecake, and I know everything in it is good for me, and I can eat it and feel good about myself.
The food is so healthy and very tasty.
I would definitely come back to Raw Fresno.
I'm not even the same person, and it's all to this food. It's just amazing. It's transforming.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. My guest for today is Michael J. Allen. What a heck of a guy. We're talking about his story, and we've gotten to the point where he was at Agape with Michael there, Reverend Michael, and he got into a place where not only did he find that he meditated as a black person, but there was a lot of black people and a lot of people, and there's a lot of energy that's created.
Exactly.
And let's pick it up there. How to go from there, Michael?
Well, it was tremendous. I never knew how much I missed that collective energy of people until I started going to Agape.
Yeah.
And what happened at Agape was life-changing for me. I took my first class with Reverend Michael in fall of 1994. And, you know, the beauty was Michael hadn't taught very much lately. And he was the key teacher along with Reverend Ivana Gale. And these two cats they were just so real to an expansion of what God was. I was hanging on every word they said. I sat right in front of them when they spoke. I listened, and I gotta admit, he said things that just punctured my heart, just opened my heart so wide. I felt God in what he was saying, you know, like a lot like when I was a boy going to church with Reverend Jackson. You know, he had such a passion and such a love for humanity and God that when he spoke, it really opened my heart.
That energy's there.
Yes, that energy was there. I mean, he wasn't just talking. I could feel that vibration coming off of him. And the first time Reverend Michael spoke, you know, I thought he just got lifted off the ground, and he was so excited himself. He was not trying to excite the crowd.
Right.
You know, you could just see this man was excited about what was coming out of him. And I really loved that. And I'll never forget, I started class, and there were about 175 people in class.
Right.
And before every class, Michael would have a couple of microphones up, and people could come up and ask questions. And he would answer, he would work with you on your questions before anything else happened. That's what he did every time. Good morning, brief meditation, and he'd start answering questions. And I went up one time early in the class, and I had a question. And I had this old behavior of asking questions, already thinking, you probably aren't going to answer my question either, you know?
Right.
And I had that energy when I got to the microphone, and I asked Michael the question, and he answered the question. But I didn't hear the answer. I had already assumed I was going to hear the same answer.
Right.
And I started to walk away from the microphone, and Reverend Michael said, Michael! You know, he kind of shouted at me. He says, did I answer your question? And I said, no, not really. And he says, well, don't leave the microphone until I answer your question.
Very good.
And when he said that, it was just this real powerful confirmation that this is where I needed to be. And he answered the question and came to me after class, and he says, you know, questions have answers that unfold. There aren't specific answers to everything you ask. Answers, when you ask the right questions, things unfold.
Right.
So don't stop asking questions, because this is an experience that has no ending. You know, I can remember him telling me, he says, stop looking for an ending on your journey.
Right.
There's no such thing as this is it, it stops. You know, there's an evolution inside of us that never ends.
I've had people come to me and say, well, what's it going to take to become enlightened? Like, that's the end point. Well, did you get up today and have a little bit greater day today than yesterday? Well, yeah. Then today, you were a little more enlightened than yesterday. And it never stops. You're an infinite being.
Yes.
You know, when's it going to stop? When does infinite stop? You know, that's wonderful. So he opened that door in your heart, okay? And so you took some classes, but you took more classes, didn't you?
Yeah. I went on to become a practitioner.
Right.
I went to my first meditation retreat with Reverend Michael.
Okay.
That fall in Palos Verdes, and you know, it rattled me. I got there really early. It was a 3-day meditation. I got there really early. I mean, I don't think anybody else was there. And I walked on the campus, and I was walking around, and I was walking down the hallway, and Reverend Michael comes out of the door, and he says, "Michael, how are you?" And I said, "I'm pretty good, you know." And I said, "How are you?" He said, "Strong." You know, and I went, yeah, I want to be able to say that,
Yeah.
that I'm really strong. And what does that mean? I mean, what makes him feel so strong, you know? And throughout meditation, the meditation sessions that we had, his consistent thing in those meditation sessions was that if you continue to wait for something to happen instead of participate with that which is who you are,
Right.
you don't come to a place of peace. You stay in turmoil because you keep missing what is. You know, he said that over and over again. You keep missing what is. You know, and I got really frustrated one day, and I'm like, well, what is? You know, what is this?
What is
this is? He keeps talking about, and what he kept referring to is that God is always the power, the presence, and the energy, and every activity and order of your function in every moment of your life.
No place, no space.
No place, no space. God does not say, I'm going on a coffee break, I'll catch you in a couple minutes.
Oh.
That never happens.
Really?
Never happens. There's always this dynamic, infinite
presence.
Love, beauty, as he called
Yeah.
it, being itself as you. And I heard that so much that one day I just decided, okay, I'm just going to let God be me. Just like I said, Jesus, if you were me, what would you do? So here's the continuation of me becoming completely in alignment or completely one with God.
And you know, Michael, that's a shift in consciousness to get, you know, when we're working with individuals and they want to make that next step, that, you know, getting them to step into that idea that, you know, in the what is, in the presence, in the now, and allow. Just allow. You know, accept. There's no outside stuff you got to put on it. You just got to be there. Be there. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, well, you know, the visioning practice that Reverend Michael created and facilitates and practices with many people. I'm so blessed, you know, when he was really rolling that work out in the early 90s, mid 90s, I moved to the Bay Area soon after, about 6 months after I began going to Agape, and he sent me to certain ministers there, and I continued my practitioner studies, and Reverend Michael would come to the Bay Area from time to time and do these small little 3-hour workshops on the visioning process.
Right.
And I'll never forget one time, sometimes I'd pick him up at the airport and we'd have these great conversations, and sometimes we'd be at the workshop and he'd say, no, I want you to stay up here with me. And while I'm up there with him, while he's doing the workshop, I got to ask him questions like, you know, how did you develop Agape? And he says, well, it's definitely Spirit's vision. And I just get out of the way, and the visioning process is paying attention to what God wants to express through me. That he says I didn't have to give anything up. I just had to allow God to express itself through me. So the visioning process became let go of shame, blame, and judgment of others. Practice what is true about you. And to do everything from a place of peace and love. You know, I mean, very basic things. Very basic structure he had for the development of Agape.
You understand it's very basic.
Yeah.
I'm working on getting a clue.
Yeah.
But you know, the general population, and this is the power of the message that you heard and that you live, and that there's so many people that don't live that. They don't understand that. You know, it's the outside world, the false self, the ego, whatever you want to call it, that tells them. And people don't realize that they are being told, you know, that it's got to be this way, and it can't be that way. And we have our beliefs, and our beliefs set our reality, and our reality is real. Or not.
No, well, you know,
and that's the deal.
You know, Reverend Steve, you came to the gathering, and everyone's beliefs are true.
That's right.
They may not be the truth, but everyone's beliefs are true.
And that's in understanding that when you're speaking with someone, and you do as a teacher, that their beliefs are their truth.
Right.
You know, and accepting that without trying to say, well, that's fine, but you know, Michael, let me show you a better way or another, you know, you've lost them at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So you get to that point. And that's part of this visioning process that you got through. You got to the, you know, this is here now, this is the what is, and accepting that and allowing God to express. Not express as God is somebody out there or over there, but God expresses. God just expresses.
Through us.
Express. You know,
through us.
Get out of the way. Let
Through
it
us.
happen.
You know, there's a powerful intelligence and energy inside every human being that is why they are alive in a body.
That's right.
There's a powerful intelligence inside every human being on the planet and every living thing, which is why it is alive in the physical world today.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That is a divine thing to be grateful for.
Yeah. You know, it's I'm laughing because part of what I'm thinking, you know, on Sunday, you know, one of the things I'm going to share with the congregation is there's one life. When you contemplate that, can you get excited about that? I mean,
man.
I can get real excited about that. You know, when you talk to people that aren't familiar with it, you say, but there's just one life. There's just one life. And they kind of, and if you follow that, I don't know, for me, this week I just got really excited about thinking about sharing that with people again, you know?
Well, you got to close your eyes.
Yeah.
You got to close your eyes. I mean, if we keep looking out at the world and thinking that the world is the truth, we keep blinding ourselves. If we close our eyes and ask for the truth and wait on that, the world will change. I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of specific reasons why that's true, and all of it is from the practice of absolutely opening up to what is the truth, not just my truth. I mean, I can develop so many absolute truths from the experiences I've had, but if I were to look at life from a very energetic perspective, it's always renewing itself.
Exactly.
So I want to continue to renew myself, thought, heart, feelings, emotions, beliefs. I want to continue to renew them so that I can stay in the presence of God.
Be ye transformed
by the renewing of your mind.
That's it. So
God is never the same.
That's right.
And God is changeless. Interesting, you know?
Yeah. God is everything, all the change, but never changes.
Never changes.
So we're going to, boy, this is too good. We got to go to our next break, and we're going to continue this when we come back. We'll see you then.
Sal Contreras of JC's Lawn Service is the go-to guy for all your lawn care and landscaping needs. Just call Sal at 559-978-7730.
Hi, Haven Young here. Join Mike Briggs and myself at Central Valley Talk Studios, 1212 North Van Ness, to find out more about Moringa oleifera, the world's most nutritious plant, and get a chance to win a 6-day free trial of Moringa oleifera. That's again the 4th Saturday this month in May. We're almost through, so it's the 28th, 2 p.m. here at Central Valley Talk, 1212 North Van Ness. And if you can't be here, look at our website, mostnutritiousPlant.com. Don't forget the hyphens in between. See you there. Bye now.
Fresno State students, listen up. Looking for a place to live? Try University Place. Call 559-229-2295 or visit FresnoUniversityPlace.com for more information. Need a dentist? Call Dr. David Wright at 559-222-6213 or visit BiteMeDental.com. Get solar power for your home. Email Dan Siemens at legacypower.com or call 559-312-5011.
For information on author Steve Hammond's Rise of the Penguin saga, visit www.riseofthepenguins.net.
Kissed by the Moon, your cloth diaper and natural parenting store. Call 559-231-7101 or visit them online at kissedbythemoon.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Oh, it's a great day today. I'm having a wonderful time. I hope you're enjoying the show. My guest, Michael J. Allen. Michael, I want to pick right up where we left off. You just continue with your story. This is just really good stuff. So you moved to San Francisco.
Moved to San Francisco.
And you studied to become a practitioner.
Right.
And you made your practitioner, you got your license, right?
Right.
What happened?
Well, you know, I got my practitioner's license, and I continued to work with Reverend Luzette and Reverend Jane and at the Marin Church of Religious Science, and I was working in the inner city as a social worker and really doing everything I can to apply my practitioner skills.
Right.
I used to hold private meditations in the morning. For 2.5 years, I had a meditation circle in Sebastopol, where I met some more beautiful people who were really teaching me about unconditional love. I think that's where I learned a lot more about unconditional love. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Because of the people and the teachings that I got involved with. And I spoke at several Science Mind churches in the area, in Napa, in Marin, and began to really work to connect with different practitioners. The only challenge with that is people get very territorial in their church community.
Yes, they do.
And if you are not in that church community, there's still this feeling of being an outsider. Exactly.
Walls go up.
Walls go up. Even though you're a practitioner in the same belief system as Science Mind, people are territorial when it comes to their churches, which is unfortunate. So finally, I think back in 2004, I connected with Reverend Joan Stedman, who came from the Reverend Michael Circle,
right,
and became one of the ministers at the Oakland Church. And I felt renewed by working with her because I knew her consciousness and I knew what she represented, and she just spoke to me, you know. So I went to serve and to pray and to be with her, and soon following, during that time, I traveled a lot around the country doing work with an organization called Challenge Day. And
okay, I'm going to stop you right there. Okay. Because I want to. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. What the work that you did there? What were you doing? Who were you working with? And did in fact your principles that you'd learned, you know, did they involve themselves with what you were teaching?
Completely. You know, I was trained by the Challenge Day organization, Rich Dutra St. John and Yvonne St. John Dutra, mom and pop, who founded the work. At that time, it was 10, 12 years old, back in the early 1998 time period, and they were expanding, and they blew up and started training people to go out and lead these very powerful, very large group experiences, teaching young people in middle schools and high schools the truth about social oppression, and how to turn that social oppression into love and acceptance and appreciation for differences and all human beings. So
you took this, the principles here,
absolutely,
and you brought it out there, and you're not talking to people that don't have issues. You're not talking to people that don't have life struggles. You're talking to people that they're on the edge of, are they going to make it, or are they going to fall off the...
They're in it.
Yeah.
You know, they're in stereotypical mindsets. They're in walls and lines and groups and cliques and divisions. and they're in the educational system.
Right.
You know, and they're young minds, which was exciting. They were young minds. And just being who I was as a practitioner was a credit and a value to me to do that work.
Right.
I was always in different environments, socially, economically, ethnically, culturally, definitely culturally, because cultures are different within ethnic groups.
That's right.
So my practitioner skills I called on as the foundation of who I was as a person. And, you know, I got to admit, there were a couple people who came up to me who were practitioners and maybe caught some of my verbiage and said to me, I know what you're doing. You know, and I go, well, what do you mean? Because I'm not here to facilitate any religion.
No.
But I am here to express who I am within the guidelines of being inclusive to all people. But there were some practitioners who heard that the conversation I was having with the group came from that philosophy, that Ernest Holmes philosophy, that agape teaching, and that science of mind teaching. And I did that work for 10 years. And when I finished that work, you know, it was really time for me to really look at, you know, where is my creativity? Because that was scripted work by an organization that was in a structured system that I no longer fit in. So who am I becoming? And went right back to the visioning process. And in the visioning process, I opened up to another experience of who I am, and met my wife in Michigan, and became very, very open to my own consulting skills, more so than I had, because I was traveling, and did a lot of consulting work in Detroit, helping organizations with staffs as well as with young people, using my principles. And those principles are, every person I see, touch, hear, and feel is the expression of God. And for me to look at them in any other way would be sort of disrespecting the truth. You know, if God is in you, then I have to work really hard at seeing that in me. Because the judgment in me would affect the relationship I have with you. And I didn't want a negative effect of that relationship.
Exactly.
I wanted an embrace of the relationship because I'm living in the truth.
How do you do that when that initial coming together is a clash? You know, how do you do that when you know now, and this is where we have to be careful, because someone may lay their prejudgment on you about the person that you're going to be interacting with. Now, you know, this person here is going to have some issues, and you're going to have, you know, but how do you set all that aside so that you meet them, and when you meet them, it's just the as-is meeting. No prejudgment, acceptance for what is going on now. And you know what? If they go where they go, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that there's no easy answer to that.
Right.
But it's a clear answer. And clearly, there's so much more that you and I share, Reverend Steve, that if I stay focused on that, our energy starts to meld, starts to embrace. You know, we share the same physical space, we share the same air, gravity supports you just like it supports me. The sun is not prejudiced. It doesn't shine any brighter or darker on you. You know, the world, the rain, the clouds, I mean, the universe is in harmony for you and I to be here.
That's right.
Okay? And the universe is saying, well, we only do it a certain way for black people, and we only do it a certain way for white people. You know, the universe is not doing that. Human beings are doing that.
Exactly.
Human beings are separating humanity for many different reasons.
We revert to our tribal culture.
Right.
My tribe.
Right.
However I define that.
Right.
And we define our tribe, and actually we define our tribes. We have many tribes that we are a part of. And we have our family tribe, we have our community tribe, we have our racial tribe, we have our spiritual tribe, you know, on and on and on. Stepping out of the tribal consciousness into a unity, a oneness.
We have our gang tribe. We have our financial tribe.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People create their own circles.
The establishment.
The establishment.
The outsiders.
You got it.
On and on and on.
You got it. And, You know, I just look at every human being is in one race, just like every human being is in one life.
It's just one life, and that's all.
And you know, people will say, well, everybody's different, and that's good. But there's so many people drawing lines and separation because of differences.
Yeah, well, the good ends at my belief system. The
Right,
good ends at my
exactly,
judgment, you know.
exactly. And I just can't live there, man. I can't live there. I mean, we are all created by this incredible intelligence.
And we're expressing it. We're not just created by it. It is us, as us, is us, surrounds us, and expresses through us. And when we get our false self, our egocentric mind out of the way, what's left is love and beauty, peace and harmony, a unity, a oneness, and there's nothing else.
The truth.
That's it.
That's what the truth is.
Yeah.
So, you know, we grow by living in the truth. Know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
Yes.
is really powerful. And if my truth doesn't include all living beings, it's just my truth. If my truth includes all life, it is the truth.
Truth is absolute.
Absolute, right.
You know, and versus individual truths, which people have defined as their facts.
Right.
And facts change.
Right.
You know, when you begin to get this point, facts do change. Oh my God, I'm looking at the clock. Are we getting that close to the end? Holy smokes.
Need another break.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We got a little bit when we come back, Bill? Or?
Oh, yeah.
All right, good deal. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Man, I just can't believe we're going through time like this. We'll see when we come
Rethink
back.
your drink with independent Javita member Christine Levin. Call 559-301-5177 and get healthy and wealthy. Email Michelle Bradford at londonproperties.com or call 559-907-9738 to get your dream home today.
Need raisins? Call National Raisin Company at 559-834-5981 or online at nationalraisin.com.
I think people think of raw food or healthy food as not having much flavor, and this is so flavorful.
So very nutrient dense, and it feeds my body.
I love raw Fresno because I've learned so much about nutrition.
It's organic, and it's delicious. It's nutrient dense and very tasty.
Food that's alive, probiotic, it's healthy vegetables to get that protein, and it's a game changer. It's awesome.
Come to Raw Fresno just because I love the food and there's not too many options or any options like this anywhere.
I come back because the food is delicious.
It's definitely a new experience, you know, the different tastes, the salad, it's absolutely delicious.
I love the food because, as I found, this food actually has a lot of flavor. It's also good. It's hard for me to decide what to eat, so then I'll just take samples of everything.
My husband and I both are addicted to it, and it's like we go through kale withdrawals because it makes us feel better.
It's so healthy and because it tastes so good. I love the wraps, I love the chocolate cheesecake, and I know everything in it is good for me and I can eat it and feel good about myself.
The food is so healthy and very tasty.
I would definitely come back to Raw Fresno.
I'm not even the same person, and it's all to this food. It's just amazing. It's transforming.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back. It's New Thought Talk. I'm your host, Reverend Steve Walling. My guest in where we just blew through the show. This is our last segment. My guest is Michael J. Allen. Michael, again, I'm going to thank you so much. This has been a great show. But I want to pick it up now. Okay, you were doing your work with these young people. You're a practitioner. Are you still in the Bay Area at this time?
I'm in the Bay Area. I'm in Fresno. Okay. I'm in both environments. Yeah. Okay.
So let's, for right now, let's kind of move forward, bring it up to date. What are you doing right now, Michael?
Well, right now I am a counselor.
Okay.
And working on my state license with the Board of Behavioral Science. I'm in the testing process.
Right.
I'm a practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not affiliated with any particular church, but I'm a practitioner of truth.
Right.
I am a facilitator. I work with young people in schools, teaching emotional intelligence. You know, a lot of the young people that are labeled with so many emotional challenges and behavior challenges aren't taught how to have emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is teaching people how to have empathy for other people's feelings and to how to activate and take full responsibility for their own, for joy and for love and for appreciation. That, to me, leads to great learning. I have, at my office here in Fresno, we have several activities that we do. We have a men's group, we have a We Rise group, which is a women's group, and we have The Gathering, and I have my private practice where I work with individuals, couples, and I'm working on men's work. Men need to do their work.
No.
Yes.
No.
Men need to do their work.
We're invincible, man. We don't need that.
And they need to do their work with men. You know, the great men of that I have read, that I have studied, they studied love, and they studied science, and they studied how to magnify love and science. And I really want to bring more men to studying their own love and their own science and their emotional intelligence, so that we could be more present for young people. We could be more present in our relationships. We could be more present in the world.
That's
you know,
important.
I've gone to the prison system. I've been in the prison system since 1996, all volunteer, working with men and women in San Mateo. I've been to San Quentin, Death Row. I've been to Vacaville, and I've been to Elmwood. You know, I'm part of the Enneagram Prison Project. That's another show.
Okay.
Love to talk about that.
You got it.
But there are wise minds and powerful people incarcerated for reasons that hurt humanity.
Yep.
So I have a passion for that environment.
I'm going to interrupt you right here.
Go ahead.
Someone's watching this show. How do they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm at ICSI.
Okay.
Integral Community Solutions Institute.
Okay.
It was a founding office created by Dr. Juan C. Garcia. I've done a lot of work with Dr. Garcia. He's been my therapy supervisor. I've co-taught classes at Cal State Fresno with Dr. Garcia. People can contact us at our offices. We're at 255 North Fulton.
Right.
Just off of the 180 freeway, Suite 105. We're there for the community.
Do you have a web page or anything like that?
No, I don't, but
I do have a Facebook page.
I do have a Facebook page. I do have, you can catch me on, what's that other social media business?
I do Facebook, and I get lost. You got Twitter, I don't know, some of those.
Yeah, but people can find me on Facebook.
Right.
The Gathering is on Facebook.
Okay.
We do have a website that we keep changing and working on because the office is really growing right now. But you can contact me at 559-776-4245, I think it is.
Okay.
Or Michael J. Allen, Allen J. Michaels at gmail.com. But I do want to talk about The Gathering.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
The Gathering is a platform for people to come together and live from a place that's true.
Okay.
And that place is, there's nothing wrong with you. Problems are not who you are. If you want to change, transform, heal, or create your life, let's do it from a place of truth. Let's not do it from all the dysfunctional problems you define yourself by.
Wait a second. You mean I got to leave my baggage at the door?
You can bring your baggage, but do you really want to talk about your baggage, or do you want to talk about the transformation of your life?
That's it. Okay.
You know, and that's one of the things I got as a practitioner. You know, as a practitioner, you have this tool, this process, this practice of helping people move through things very, very fast if they're open to it. And in psychology, you have this practice of working with people to help them move through things very, very slow. You know, they get the label, and now we're talking about the label, the diagnosis, the behavior, what's always happened in the past. And The Gathering is about, let's start with the truth. And from the truth, we can see all these little things we're caught in, locked in, blocked in, that keep us from being open and exciting and amazed in our life. It keeps us from having love and connection and affection and friendships and good communication. Because we spend too much time on the problem. and not the power of what we create, what we transform, what we are about.
I'm not my problem.
No, you're not your problem. Man.
No, I know. And having the opportunity to have participated last week, I got to tell you, it's a great and powerful and spiritual platform.
Well, it's psychology and spirituality.
Yeah.
They go together.
Mm-hmm.
The most powerful psychological things that I've endured in my work in psychology have been absolutely easily transformed by the spiritual awareness of the truth of these two things coming together. And the gathering is how I want to bring those things together.
And when do you meet?
We meet twice a month
Uh-huh.
At the office, 6 to 9. Our next meeting is June 8th.
Okay.
Friend me on Facebook, and you'll get that invitation. It's about 3 hours. We're asking people to bring something to eat. It's around dinner time. Bring your fullness.
Yeah.
It's time to be who you really are. Love's always there. Don't worry about love. Love is always in the room.
Yeah.
Don't worry about a non-judgmental environment. I will not allow judgment in that environment. I will not allow criticism. I will not allow people to debate problems and challenges. I will only challenge you to discover what the truth is about the transformation of that which you want in your life. So if you want to deal with problems, don't come. I don't think that's a place for you. If you want to experience love and connection and new people and embracing the greatness of who we are, show up.
Yeah.
Because you contribute to that.
That's right.
You're not going to get it unless you show up and give it. So some people ask me, what happens at the gathering? You got to come.
Yeah.
I don't know, because you haven't showed up. You haven't come and become who you are in the gathering.
And there's no, what I'll call a ritualized format that you follow, is there?
No, we just do some things to get it going.
Right.
We have check-in, and you can check in any way you want.
Right.
But check-in is designed for you to check in really with hey, okay, God, here I am. I'm sitting right here in this moment with these people. I want change in my life. Or I want more of what's great in my life. But I'm done with the old stuff. That, come like that. Check in with that. And let's start with the truth. The truth is, every human being came to this physical transformational place the same way.
That's right.
And before we got here, we didn't come with a bag of problems. I'm going to go get all these problems solved when I get to Earth. Nobody did that. Nobody did that. Right. Everybody came in as this amazing, incredible little baby who has been absolutely molded by the world of appearances.
That's right.
And the world of appearances isn't always the truth.
That's right.
But it is what people have experienced.
And what they have, for the most part, a lot of people have defined that as truth for themselves.
Right.
And in understanding that there's so much more that influences you, but until you become aware of what that is.
Right.
I loved your metaphor about the scars on the heart. I explain the same thing a little bit differently, but it's exactly the same thing. The way that we get influence, and we don't even know it. So I got the sign we're at that time. I'm going to thank you for being on the show. You're going to be back sooner than later.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Michael.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I hope you have had as much fun on this show as I've had. Michael's an incredible being, and we're going to see a whole lot more of him. Join us on Saturdays. We do this on a regular basis. You can find us if you do the Facebook thing, New Thought Talk with Rev Steve. If you go there, we have an archive of our past shows, and there's some really good interviews there. There's some, if you're interested in New Thought, Science of Mind, there's shows that I just do teaching, and you can pick up some information there. Like I said, this is just, it's great, it's powerful, and it's life-changing. And if you didn't get that from Michael today, you need to watch this show again, maybe 2 or 3 times. And you can always go to our centers page, the Spiritual Awareness Centers page. There is a donation link there where you can, through PayPal, you can make an offering to help support this ministry and our church. And it's just, there's a lot of good things going on. So until I see you again when I'm back, may the light of God surround you and the love of God enfold you. May the power of God protect you and the presence of God watch over you. Because truly, wherever you are, no matter where you are, God is there. And if God's there, all is well. All is well. Take care, my friends. We'll see you next time.